And here we go. Okay. So let's settle in. Comfortably lying down or seated, whichever works for you. Can you all hear me? Did I mute myself? Let's see. No, I'm not muted. Can you hear me? Yes? Okay, okay. All right, so settling in. Coming to your practice, using your exhale to release into and soften into the support beneath you. Allowing the thoughts to start to settle. Deep breath in, soft, releasing breath out. And just briefly thinking about what brought you to the practice, your practice. What is your hope for your mind, your body, your spirit? Shortening that to a word or a phrase and placing it in an I am statement. Repeating that softly to yourself a few times as if it were true and already happening. Gently drawing the focus back to watching your breath. Following your breath from the tip of your nose, filling the lungs, and out through the nose. One breath leading to the next. Maybe noticing, are your inhales the same length as your exhales? And then evening the breath out as you breathe into the side ribs. Using the exhales to find some softening. Start to let go of any efforting in the body. Maybe allowing the focus to be on that pause at the end of the exhale, just before you take that next breath in. Becoming aware of a settling in the body. That with that exhale, there's a letting go. Three more rounds of breath like this. Deep inhales, filling the front and back of the heart space. Exhaling, gathering the belly in and up, gently hugging the ribs to the midline. Breathing with intention, with concentration. And letting go of that control of the breath. As you inhale, maybe the arms extend and open as you reach through the fingertips overhead or out to the side. And with your exhale, allow them to float down to the either side of the hips to the earth. Inhaling, allowing them to float up, moving throughout that breath, and exhaling, flowing back down. linking simple movement with breath, slowing down the movement to match the breath. And then allowing the arms to come to rest. If you're sitting up, maybe coming to lie down so we can start doing some back openings. With your next exhale, allow one knee and then the other to draw in for a hug, and just rest in that stillness for a few rounds of breath. Softening through the shoulders, noticing what you feel in the back body. Can you let go of some efforting with your exhales? Allowing the spine to rest flat on the earth, no tension in the jaw or the back of the neck. And with your next exhale, gather the belly button towards the earth. Maybe you have some space for the thighs to come a little closer, maybe not. With your inhale, allow them to back away. With your exhale, hug them in. It's a small movement, very subtle. Noticing maybe the lower back. How as it lengthens, it also comes closer to the earth in that exhale. And with the inhale, it floats back to neutral, away from the earth. Sacrum is your foundation, rocking forward and back on the sacrum, equal weight in both sides of the hips. And the next time you inhale, find stillness there. Exhale, root the sacrum to the earth by hugging the pit of the belly down and towards the heart. So down and up, and then soften through the shoulders. Allow the knees to float away from each other. Exhale, bring them back together. Inhale, they float away from you. Exhale, they draw closer to the chest. And maybe moving in a circular motion or just in the side to side, forward, back. But allow the breath to guide you. Notice the subtle movement in the back body. Allowing the core body to start to warm up to keep you stable and rooted to the earth, the belly hugging in and up, but the breath moves freely. And then reverse those circles or movements. Remember, I only offer suggestions. What feels good for you today? And then coming to stillness and exhaling both feet to the earth. Knees to the ceiling. Walk the feet the width of the mat. Allow the knees to fall together. Just checking in here. Allowing the breath to move to the back of the heart. Breathing into the wings of the heart, the wise, loving heart. We come to yoga to practice the skills of mindfulness. We link the breath with our movements. We move mindfully on purpose in this moment. We set up the foundation and we move from there. We use that smooth, even breath to guide us. We start to notice that the thoughts settle. Maybe the thoughts settle when we're flowing and they start to tug at us when we rest in stillness. Maybe they're there all the time. Maybe they're a little bit quieter when you're resting in stillness, but you're judging or talking to yourself when you're flowing. We just notice, we don't judge it, and we honor that we're human and that thoughtful time is our default. That with mindfulness, we can change that. We can slow down or quiet those stories in our heads. Give the mind body a little peace. Start to notice how we feel. So throughout the practice today, using this mindfulness to move with intention throughout your practice, notice what pops up. Easy to feel the physical part and to adjust for that, but how or are there any emotional attachments that pop up? Just noticing, not expecting it or judging it, just noticing the habits of your mind, of your body throughout the practice. Allowing the knees to float over the ankles, and then allowing them to float from side to side, finding windshield wiper. Using the breath to guide you. And again, just noticing, is one side a little different? Is it different today than maybe the last time you practiced? And different isn't good or bad, it just is. Be curious about this moment without judging it, open to whatever comes up. And then finding stillness there, walking the feet back to hips distance and a little closer maybe to the sitting bones. Tucking one shoulder blade and then the other a little closer to the center of the body, under the heart, and then sliding them away from the ears. Hugging the pit of the belly towards the earth. Keeping the head resting on the floor and just allowing the chin to tuck a little towards the notch in the collarbone. Do you feel that lengthening in the back of the neck? Soften there. Root into the shoulder blades and the soles of the feet. And with your inhale, allow the hips to lift straight up to the ceiling. And with your exhale, lower down. Maybe you start with just an inch or two, active legs, strong foundation, aware of the breath that moves you, the inhale that lifts you, and the exhale that slowly lowers you back down. Maybe you're able to come all the way up into your fullest expression of bridge pose, rooting the shoulders and the feet, lifting the hip creases, then slowly rolling down one vertebra at a time. Maybe skipping the lower back, not forcing that to come flat and landing on the sacrum. Only you know what works for you. Moving slowly, mindfully, with intention, the intention of opening up through the back body. Noticing, is there a bundle or a group of vertebrae that move together? Can you soften and become more fluid with each breath? More like a wave of motion lifting you, puffing up the heart towards the chin, soft jaw. And with the exhale, rolling down. One more round like this. Exploring your back body. Always the option to back out of things before I suggest it. Resting with the breath, finding stillness there, extending one leg and then the other straight out onto the floor. And walking both legs over to the right. And then inhaling the left arm alongside your ear and then resting here for a couple of rounds of breath. How does this feel? Can you breathe into the ribs on the left side? Can you soften with the exhales? Maybe you're able to walk the legs over a little further to the right without lifting that left hip off the floor. Maybe you're able to scoot the shoulders over a little more. without efforting that left arm out of the shoulder socket. It doesn't have to go very high at all. 2 more rounds of breath here. And then inhaling the legs back to center and shifting the shoulders back over the hips, softening that left arm down. Inhale there. Exhale, draw one knee and then the other in for a hug. Find the alignment of the back body on the earth again. Maybe even lifting the shoulders up a little and the head up, and then slowly lowering back down to flat on the earth. Letting the feet come back down and extending them out, the legs out in front of you. Walking both feet, both legs over to the left, flat on the floor. Inhaling the right arm alongside the ear or in that general direction. Maybe it's more out to the side than overhead. Let it rest on the earth. And then find the breath. Allow the breath to fill the right side body. One breath leading to the next. Softening with those exhales. And maybe you can walk those legs a little further to the left. Maybe they stay right where they are. Maybe the shoulders shift a little. Maybe the breath moves deeper into the right side body. Aware of the ribs expanding so the lungs can accept the breath. Aware of the echo of the breath. Where do you feel it in your body? With your next inhale, allow the legs to walk back to center, the arm to float by your side. Inhale there and exhale, draw those knees in for a hug. Maybe getting some movement this time, maybe rocking side to side, maybe making some circles of the legs and the hips. What do you need right now? And then coming to stillness with the knees over the hips as if you were sitting in an invisible chair. Feet are also flexed as if they were resting on the earth. Soften through the shoulders, broaden across the collarbone by rooting the shoulder blades to the earth. Hugging the belly button towards the earth. Still a natural curve in the lower back, but the ribs aren't popping up. Soften there. With your inhale, the legs, the knees float away from each other out to the sides. With your exhale, they float back in. Inhaling into a V, exhaling back together, firing up that core, the pit of the belly keeps you stable, moving with your breath. The next time they come over the hips, find stillness there. Float that left foot to the floor. Nice. Inhale, the right leg extends up to the ceiling. Just noticing what you notice there. How does it feel in the back of the thigh, the calf, the bottom of the foot? Make some circles through that ankle, one direction, the other. Fanning the toes out, curling them in. Nice. Inhale, root into that heel as it extends towards the ceiling. Lengthen out of the hip socket. Is the toe, a big toe pointing directly overhead? Maybe you can even rotate the leg in the hip socket a little so the inner thigh rolls away from you. Just noticing, resting in stillness here, rooting into the hip, lengthening into the heel. With your exhale, allow the knee to come towards the chest. With your inhale, extend into the heel. Nice. Just 2 more rounds like this, noticing as we open up the hip crease and the knee and move with the breath. Staying in the moment, letting the thoughts be a little quieter, and then finding stillness there. And crossing the right knee all the way over the left. So not just the ankle, but the knee. Yep, crossing the legs, nice. And then walking that left foot a little to the right. And letting both knees float over to the left. Just noticing what you notice. Breathing into the side body. 2 more rounds of breath here. Soften, maybe lengthen hip away from armpit. Exhale there. Inhale, knees back up to center. Walk that left foot over to the left. And use the right leg to draw the left leg over gently, just the weight of it, right? Acting with gravity. And then notice what you notice in the left thigh as you come over to the right. Lengthening, softening through that left side body. Backing out of anything that doesn't feel good. Is there ease in this pose? Is the breath smooth? Exhale there and inhale, both knees back up to center. And that right leg extends one more time to reach to the ceiling. Gather the belly and float that leg straight out in front of you. Let the left leg come to meet it. Take a couple of rounds of breath here, resting in the stillness. Bringing awareness to the breath. Trying to stay in this moment and not taking part in the stories. With your exhale, the right knee bends and the foot comes to the earth. With your inhale, the left leg comes up, and with your exhale, it draws in for a hug. Yes. And then inhale, reach it up to the ceiling, root that left hip. The sacrum is equal weight on both hips, right? Just notice, does this side already feel different? Is the big toe pointing overhead? Does the inner thigh, can the inner thigh rotate away from you just a smidge? How does that feel? Just noticing. Make some circles through the ankle. Reverse them. Fan the toes out, curl them in. Root into the hip, extend into the heel. Exhale, knee draws to chest. Inhale, it extends. Keeping the core body relatively still, just moving that leg in the hip socket. Your breath, your body. The next time you inhale and extend, find stillness there. Maybe the toes can reach a little further overhead. Maybe you're staying right where you are. How's the breath? What do you feel? With your next exhale, cross that knee over the right. Walking that right foot over to the left and allowing both knees to float to the right. Breathing into the left side body. Allowing length from armpit to hip. Noticing that the breath moves into that space. Exhaling, gathering the belly, inhaling the knees back up to center, walking that right foot out to the right. So in alignment with the outside of your hip or wherever feels good for you, you can adjust it. as you exhale and float both knees over to the left. And how does this feel? The weight of the left leg drawing deeper into that right hip. Can you soften? And allow the breath to fill the right side body. Do you need to back out of this and adjust? Honor your body. Exhaling there and inhaling the knees up to center, extending that left leg one more time, reaching, and then floating it to the earth, letting the right leg come to meet it. And just resting in the stillness, noticing any change, any difference in sensation in the body. How's the breath? Any noticeable tingling as the energy starts to move. Inhale there and exhale, draw the knees in for a hug, get some movement side to side. And then rolling over onto one side or the other. Just 3 rounds of breath here as you draw the knees in the direction of the chest and start to open through the lower back, allowing the shoulders to drape a little forward of the hips, maybe the forehead in the direction of the knees. And then finding the breath in the back body, allowing it to move into that space. Softening a little deeper with the exhale, letting go. With your next exhale, gather the belly. Use the hands on the earth to press into it and draw yourself up with the core and over onto all fours. Taking the time to pad your knees. Finding the foundation through the palms of the hands. Soften the shoulder blades down the back, away from the ears. Tops of the feet rest on the earth, pads of the fingers resting on the earth. Arms are strong without locking out the elbows. We set up the foundation so we move with ease into the poses. Belly hugs in and up. With your exhale, tailbone tilts to the earth. The back starts to round towards the ceiling. With your inhale, tailbone lifts, belly softens to the earth, and the heart reaches between the arms. Maybe even lifting your gaze a little, moving in and out of your expression of cat. Maybe the crown of the head drops towards the earth, and cow. No efforting, just a flowing exploration of the front and back body, of the movements of the spine, the suppleness of the vertebra and the muscles that allow that movement, right? We're working into the muscles, letting go of that efforting, of that holding, so that we can move freely. There's more peace and ease in the body. And the breath moves freer. Can you slow everything down so that the movement matches the breath? So the breath becomes just a little longer without adding any effort. Just a pause between the two. One more round like this. And then inhaling into a neutral spine. walking the big toes to touch and the knees to come wide on the mat. Reaching the hip creases in the direction of the heels, pausing there, lengthening the heart away from the belly button with your inhale, and with your exhale, slowly lowering down to the earth. Mindful of the journey and what happens along the way. And then softening into your expression of child pose. Moving it around if necessary, moving your body around to find an easeful way to be in the pose. Maybe your forehead's resting on a block. Maybe there's a block under your chest or a pillow or a blanket, so that you can keep that length from the crown of the head to the tip of the tailbone. And find a softening. And as you bring the attention to your breath, become aware of the breath moving into the back body. Become aware of the entire back body, the muscles between the ribs, softening so the lungs can fill completely. As you release the breath, you release any gripping and tension. You soften or quiet the thoughts. Gently draw the focus to the breath. Walking the fingers, the arms forward if they're not there already, and inhaling, pressing into them, lifting the heart and the head. Exhaling, gathering the belly, and inhaling back up onto all fours, letting the knees walk back under the hips. Softening the shoulders away from the ears. Extending that left foot, that left leg straight back, curling the toes under, keeping the shoulders right where they are. Equal weight in both hands. Reach into that heel, let the back of the leg extend even further. Exhale, gather the belly, root into the palms of the hands. Inhale, lift the leg to the ceiling without lifting that left hip. Reaching, extending into that heel. Maybe there's even more space, so the next time you inhale, the leg lifts just a little more. Maybe you're staying right where you are. Maybe you're committing to that left hand, committing to the ribs, front ribs hugging to the back, so that you can inhale the right arm alongside your ear. Find a softness and ease in the pose. Maybe this is where you'll stay. Maybe that right hand comes back down today. Maybe with your exhale, as you hug the belly button towards the back, the knee and the elbow come in together. Inhaling, reaching, extending. Exhaling, knee and elbow together. Moving with your breath to honor your body. Maybe you're coming back down onto your forearm. As you draw that knee to the chest, the pit of the belly hugs in and up. Inhale, reaching straight out into that heel. One more round like this. The gaze stays to the floor, the neck soft. Nice. And then allowing that leg to float, the knee to float to the earth, the hand to the earth. Coming back to your tabletop and then setting up that foundation, rooting to the earth. Inhaling, the right leg reaches back, curling the toes under to extend into that heel. Gazing to the space between the hands. Softening the jaw. With your next inhale, maybe that leg lifts to the ceiling. Maybe you can extend, reach that heel back so that you have more space to inhale, lift the leg. Committing to that right hand, drawing the left hip crease back. Maybe the left arm extends alongside the ear. Moving slowly with the breath. Just noticing this side might be a little different. Soften that arm in the shoulder socket. With your exhale, elbow and knee maybe come together. Inhale, extending. Allow the motion, the flow to move with the breath. Find an easeful way to flow. Knowing when to move deeper, when to stay right where you are. Keeping awareness of the foundation that protects you, the breath that guides you. And the next time you exhale, allow the hand and the knee to come back down to the floor. Come down to forearms and find that foundation. So notice the difference between just coming to forearms and then notice what happens when you root into the palms of the hands and the forearms, the wrist creases, the elbows. All the muscles around the shoulders become active to stabilize the shoulder blades on the back body, the arms in their sockets to keep you safe. Start to walk your knees back a little, couple of inches, pause there, find that foundation again, keeping the shoulders right where they are, just in back of the wrist creases. Find the breath. Maybe this is enough of a challenge for you. Maybe you walk the knees back just a little more. Firing up the core, the breath is smooth, you're rooting down, gazing to the space between the arms. Maybe you curl the toes under and inhale, extend into the heels. Forearm plank, maybe a round of breath. And then exhale the knees to the floor. Let the palms stack and the forehead rest. Coming into crocodile. Coming down onto your belly. Find the breath there. Allow the legs to just soften in the hip sockets, the heels to float away from each other. Find the breath filling the back body. Aware of the breath, following the entire round of breath in through the nose, filling the lungs, lungs emptying out through the nose. Nice. And then walking the elbows under the shoulders so that now you're in a gentle sphinx, a gentle back bend. All 10 toes root to the earth, and as you root to the earth, you notice the legs become active and the knees slightly lift off the floor. And then we root into the palms of the hands and the forearms. And as we root, the heart lifts away from the earth and up towards where the wall meets the ceiling. The shoulder blades slide together and they're away from the ears. And we feel a gentle opening from the tops of the hips, the bottoms of the ribs. Yes, maybe. What do you notice? Back body. allowing the back bend, opening up the front body, no compression in the lower back, because the ribs are inhaling away from the hips and the heart is reaching away from the belly button and then up towards where the wall meets the ceiling. One more round of breath here, soft back of the neck. Exhaling, walking yourself slowly back down into crocodile. Allowing those legs to soften in their sockets for gravity to draw them out, the heels away from each other. Breathing into the back of the heart. Noticing what happens when you rest in stillness. Do the thoughts become more active or are they quieter? Are you able to focus on the breath? Knowing that it's our default state to go into the thinking body, those racing thoughts, that we have to practice to let that go and focus on the breath. Just like an athlete practices to become stronger or faster, we get a little better at the focusing of the breath with each time we come to our mats. We're more aware of the thoughts and we can let them go. We're more aware of the efforting in the body and we can soften into easefulness. Walking your arms to either side of the hips, so the palms face your hips and the thumb is on the floor. And coming to your forehead or your chin, whichever feels better for you. Lifting the right leg, reaching back through the big toe, and then allowing that foot to come to the earth. Reaching, extending through the left toes, and then letting that foot come back to the earth. So now you have a deeper opening in the hip creases, perhaps. With your inhale, root the thumbs to the earth, draw the shoulder blades to the center of the back. Exhale, root all 10 toes to the earth. Inhale, reach the belly, the heart away from the belly. Keeping the gaze to the floor, straight back in the neck, you're breathing. One more inhale, exhale, lower down, much smaller back bend. Find the breath, let go of any efforting. Maybe you'll take the same back bend this time. Maybe you'll experiment with something different. The forehead or the chin comes to the earth. The arms extend alongside the hips. The shoulder blades hug to the center of the body, of the back. All 10 toes root into the earth. With your inhale, lift the sternum away from the belly button. Notice how the back body feels. Maybe you'll stay here. Maybe you'll reach through those toes and you'll feel the legs lift. Shoulder blades together, reach through the toes. Inhale, lift the legs a little higher. Maybe exhale, soften down, turn your head onto the left cheek. Let it go. Notice the thoughts. Honor them. Find the breath again. Letting the chin or the forehead come back to center. Resting on the earth. Rooting all 10 toes to the earth. The legs are active. Inhaling, the shoulder blades slide to the center of the back and the heart reaches forward. The upper body lifts a little off the earth. Maybe you extend into those toes and you lift the legs a little. Notice the lower back. Exhaling, soften down to the earth. Turn onto the right cheek. Breathing there. Breath in, breath out. Walking your hands underneath your shoulders, gazing to the floor. Exhale, the belly gathers, press into the hands, come back up onto all fours. Curling the toes under, as if you could slide the top of the mat away from you. You reach into the pads of the fingers, the joints at the base of the fingers, the heel of the hand. The arms extend as the hip creases reach back towards the heels. Finding length through the entire back body. The arms are still in their sockets, so adjust so that you can root to the earth, but not effort out of the shoulder sockets. Exhale, belly gathers, knees lift, straighten into the legs. Keep a soft knee and bicycle out your dog. Or maybe you're staying in that extended child pose, active child pose. Getting the same benefit of lengthening through that back body without coming into downward dog. After you move it around a little, maybe you come into stillness in your downward dog. Recommit to that foundation. Soften the shoulder blades away from the ears towards the waist. Root into the heels and lengthen up to the hip creases. Hip creases, exhale back to where the wall meets the ceiling. Up and back. Heart melts a little closer to the thighs, maybe. Soften the jaw, let the head hang. With your next exhale, gather the belly, deeply bend the knees. Walk the hands and feet together. Walk the hands up to the thighs. Inhale into half forward fold. Adjust your feet to be hips distance. Find that foundation. And then draw the shoulder blades to the center of the back so that they're working and there's an opening across the collarbone. The pit of the belly gathers, jaw is soft. Maybe you inhale the arms into cactus, keeping the upper body right where it is. Find the breath. Reach the back of the hands and the elbows up towards the ceiling. Keep that work. Exhale, root into the feet. Inhale, up to stand. Exhale, hip creases reach back. Body comes parallel to the earth. Inhaling to stand. Nice, last time. Exhale, hip creases reach back, knees bend. Back of the hand, elbows lift slightly to the ceiling. Keep the bent knees, maybe. Inhale, lift the heart away from the thighs, chair pose. Find the breath. Strong, active legs, core that supports you. Exhale, root into those feet. Inhale, all the way up to stand. Reach through the fingers, extend through the arms. Exhaling, floating those arms to either side of the hips, rolling through the shoulders, big circles. And forward a couple of times. Inhale, shoulders to ears. Exhale, let them drop. Inhaling up, exhaling, softening, taking the shoulder loop so they come up, together, and down the back. Nice. Find your Tadasana at the top of your mat. Rooting down to lengthen up. Inhaling, the arms float out, around, and up. Exhaling, bring it to the heart center. Inhaling, soft fingers, maybe they're cupped. Exhaling through the top of the crown of the head and to the heart center. Last time, inhaling, floating those arms in their sockets. Exhaling. Letting the palms rest together at the heart center. Did you lose the awareness of the foundation? Can we keep the strong connection to the earth, that foundation that secures us, that keeps us safe, and flow in our poses using the breath to guide us? Do the thoughts tug at us? Does the breath become uneven? Where do we go? Just noticing without judging. Trying to stay in the moment with each flow, letting the breath guide us. With your inhale, the fingertips extend to the earth. With your exhale, we root into the circumference of the heels. With your inhale, we lengthen through the crown of the head. And then we find some ease in our Tadasana and let go of the efforting, but still stay strong and long. With your inhale, the arms float out, around, and up. And with your exhale, maybe you swan dive forward, aware of the breath and the body. Inhaling, lengthening. Exhaling, moving deeper, either straightening through the knees a little or hinging a little closer to the earth. Take a couple of rounds of breath here with the intention of finding a deep lengthening from the crown of the head down the back body, the backs of the legs into the heels, allowing those muscles to get longer. To regain their length, in fact, to let go of the tension and gripping. Root into the feet with your exhale. With your inhale, float all the way up. Exhale, heart center. A few more rounds like this. As we inhale, we find length. As we exhale, we hinge from the hips. Aware of that foundation. Aware of the breath that allows us to lengthen, aware of the exhales that allow us to go deeper. Inhaling all the way up to stand. Exhale, heart center. Maybe this time taking chair pose. As we inhale, we find length. As we exhale, we hinge forward. As we inhale, we keep bent knees. Hips creases reaching back, shoulder blades slide together. Inhale, lengthen the heart away from lift the heart away from the thigh. Nice, maybe the arms come up into cactus, root into the feet. What are you aware of? Exhale there. Inhale all the way up to stand. Exhale, heart center. Let the hands rest together in stillness in Tadasana. What do you notice? Not judging, just becoming aware. What happens if there's a challenge? Do you meet it? Do you honor your body? Is there a lot of self-talk or stories? Are you able to stay focused on the breath? Knowing that this is a practice. So we just start over with each breath, knowing that it isn't our natural state. Allowing the hands to float to the hips. Allowing the weight to shift over that right leg, coming onto the toes of the left. Root down to lengthen up. Let go of all the efforting. Maybe with your exhale, that knee floats in front of you. Maybe just the toes lift. With your inhale, they tap down. Exhaling, flexing the foot, lifting the toes. Inhale, tapping down. Keeping the hips right where they are. Exhale, maybe bending that leg in the hip socket or lifting the leg in the hip socket and floating it down. Maybe with your next exhale, you can take a round of breath on that standing leg. Toes lifted, knee lifted, and then tap it down. Finding that gazing point ahead of you helps with balance. Maybe with your next exhale, the foot lifts and you take a round of breath, resting, growing taller on that standing leg, maybe extending that leg straight out in front of you, and then floating it back down to the earth. Shake it out, let it go, land in your Tadasana. Find the breath. Let go of any judgments or self-talk, knowing that each side is different, and let's just see what today brings on this side. So we allow the weight to shift over the left leg and come onto the toes of the right. And then we find a gazing point. We root down to lengthen up. We soften the hips parallel to the earth. Exhaling, bending the knee and lifting the toes. Inhaling, tapping them down. Maybe just flexing and pointing the foot so that the knee stays a little in front of you, a little lifted, and the toes go up and down. Maybe you're able to actually move that leg in the hip socket. Find some balance on that standing leg, knowing that the core that allows the ribs to lift out of the hips and lengthen towards the ceiling. They're rooting down to lengthen up. Helps with balance. Maybe you rest in a round of breath, foot lifted, knee lifted, and then tap it down for another round of breath, balancing. Maybe that leg extends out in front of you, tapping down, or another round of breath. Honor your body. Let that foot come back down to the earth. Shake it out, let it go. Find your Tadasana. Find the breath. Let the arms extend, the fingertips extend to the earth. Step to the long side of your mat. Walk the feet nice and wide. Feet are pinky toe side is parallel with the edges of the mat, so toes point forward. Nice. Let the arms extend, fingers extend to the earth. Draw the shoulder blades to the center of the back. Maybe you can touch fingertips, maybe interlace the fingers, maybe not, keeping the arms extended. If you, soften the elbows, maybe the hand rest against the sacrum, still drawing the shoulder blades together, the fists rest against the sacrum. Inhale there, exhale, root into the feet and hinge forward. Soften the knees. Parallel to the earth, inner thighs start to open. Inhale all the way up. Exhale, hinging forward. Maybe with your next inhale, you float all the way up and reach the knuckles or the fingertips to the earth. Deeper opening, exhale, hinge forward. Maybe hands are resting on the lower back. Maybe they lift up a little. Where do you need to work? Come all the way up with your inhale. Last time, exhale, hinge forward. Move slowly with your breath. What are you aware of? What do you need to let go of? How can you find easeful movement? And then finding stillness and releasing the hands. If you had a bind, heel toe, step the feet together. And come all the way up to stand. Roll through those shoulders. Big circles. Nice. Inhale, reach through the fingertips. Exhale, right under left. Give yourself a little hug. Move it around. Nice. Inhale, reach. Left arm under right. Move it around. Let it go. Nice. And then extend and float those arms down. Take a few circles. And then step to your top of your mat. Rooting down, find that foundation, find the breath, let go of efforting, find the strength that you need to support the pose. Inhale, the arms float out, around, and up. Exhale, we hinge forward. Inhale, finding length, maybe into chair pose. Exhale, fold a little deeper. Inhaling all the way up to stand. Exhaling, heart center. 2 more rounds like this. Inhaling, finding that length. Exhaling, hinging forward, staying here. Or inhaling into chair pose, reaching the hip creases back, weight in the heels. And then exhaling, straightening those knees a little, hinging forward. Inhaling all the way up. Exhaling, heart center. This time we'll float to the earth. Inhaling, we lengthen. Exhaling, we bow. Inhaling, maybe chair pose. Exhaling, we hinge a little deeper. We deeply bend the knees so we can bring the hands to the floor to safely step one knee and then the other all the way back. Your choice, downward facing dog or child pose. Enjoy the journey, set up the foundation, move with the breath, find the ease. Downward dog or child pose for 3 rounds of breath. Just noticing what happens in the stillness. What happens with the body. What happens in the mind. Can you soften and let go and focus on the breath? And maybe become aware of some deep connection. a deep knowing, the wisdom in the practice of linking breath to movement, using our mats to practice awareness, to move with intention. With your inhale, coming back up onto all fours, sitting onto the heels, and letting the legs extend out in front of you. The hands walk back, strong arms, shoulder blades together. Walk the feet wide, flex the feet, and find your windshield wiper. Slowly rotating side to side, keeping the upper body relatively still and allowing a twist from the waist down so that the hips lift. Nice. And then walking the feet back to hips distance and scooting up to the top of the mat if you're not there already. Exhaling one hand and then the other in back of the knees. Inhaling, we're lifting the heart. Soften the back of the neck. Nice. Maybe with your exhale, you carve out the belly to slowly lower yourself down and then coming to elbows and coming to rest flat on the earth or rolling to one side. Extending one leg and then the other. Land on the earth. Exhale one knee and then the other, draws in for a hug. Maybe rocking from side to side. And then rolling over onto your right side. Letting the right arm extend out with the left arm on top of it, wherever it lands, so that shoulders are stacked, hips are stacked, knees are on top of each other. And then inhaling, the left arm slides across the collarbone and reaches and opens towards the left. Exhaling, coming back to resting on your side so that you're moving with the breath to slowly work into a twist. Maybe that left shoulder doesn't come to the earth. That's okay. Let the breath guide you until you're ready to rest in a twist. Finding that opening across the collarbone, the opening from armpit to hip. Maybe the gaze turns to the fingertips opposite the knees. And you release into this. Aware of the breath. Inhaling to gaze up to the ceiling. Exhaling, the knees come up, the feet come to the earth, and you can roll over to the other side. So now you're on your left side. Right arm on top of the left, knees stacked, hips stacked, shoulders stacked. With your inhale, that right arm floats across the left, across the collarbone to open up out to the right. Exhaling, floating back again. Inhaling, opening into the twist. Exhaling, coming back onto your side. A few more rounds like this, finding a deeper opening maybe each time, and then resting in stillness in your twist. And then just noticing the body in motion, the thoughts when you're in motion, the breath, and then noticing how you are in the stillness. Having compassion for yourself, for the practice. Using wise effort to become more aware so that you can let go of what doesn't suit you and move deeper into what feels good. Exhale there and inhale back onto your back. Draw the knees in for a hug. And then finding rest in Shavasana. Finding whatever support you need for the back of the head or the backs of the knees, a blanket, pillows, blocks, whatever works for you, so that you can rest comfortably on the earth. Using your exhales to let go, to release and soften the muscles, to allow the body to become heavy. To allow the back body to find its length, and breathing into the natural curves in the back of the neck and the lower back. Where the body meets the earth. Resting into the security. Using the exhales to soften, to release the space between the eyes, to allow the eyes to rest heavy into the back of the head, and the forehead to melt towards the earth. All the muscles surrounding the eyes soften and release. All the muscles in the jaw soften. The tongue slips away from the roof of the mouth and the lips softly meet. And we use the exhale to allow all the muscles in the face to melt to the earth. And we're just following the breath, our natural rhythm. Bring the focus to the tip of the nose, watching as the breath draws in over the upper lip, following the breath as it fills the lungs. And then following the breath as it moves out through the tip of the nose. Breathing in and breathing out. Cooler breath drawing in, breath warmed by the body leaving. And we use this anchor of the breath to allow for a deeper peace, for joining of the mind, the body, and the spirit. To bring the body back into balance. To let go of any remaining efforting. Rest in stillness. And this takes practice. We bring some compassion to the practice, knowing that our default mode is to think. That we practice to allow the thoughts to become quiet. It takes practice to be aware of the thinking, to check in with the physical body, to breathe, check in with the emotional body, to breathe, and to rest in that stillness. We don't quit because we can't let go of the thoughts. We just bring compassion to the moment, honor those thoughts, and gently draw the focus back to the breath. Forgiving yourself and beginning again. In every moment, we see the choice to get carried away by the stories we tell ourselves, or to let them go, take a breath, and respond with a wise, kind heart. Aware of the feelings that influence our actions, our words, and checking in. Finding the breath, recommitting to being aware in this moment. Not regretting something in the past, not wishing something were different. Using the breath to rest in this moment. Find peace in this stillness. To become aware of the habits of the mind-body, and to maybe try something different. Not getting stuck in the thoughts, not stuck in our bodies. Recognizing the connection, knowing that with the breath, we can allow the thoughts to become a little softer and the body to open a little more, to let go of the gripping intention. Breathing in and breathing out. And allow the focus to be on the breath. Slowly becoming aware of your body resting on the earth. Deepening your inhales and exhales and slowly bringing the body back from stillness. Small, gentle movements. Maybe inhaling and reaching, extending through the fingertips. Exhaling, floating the arms to a comfortable position and bending one knee and then the other to step the feet softly onto the earth. Transitioning here. Feeling more awake and alert with every inhale. Using your arm as a pillow, rolling over to one side or the other. Allowing the breath to fill the wings of the heart. Scanning your body with your breath and just noticing what your practice has given to you. Bringing to mind the intention you started your practice with. Repeating it softly to yourself one more time. Resisting the urge to open your eyes, keeping them softly closed. Drawing yourself up into a comfortable, easy, seated position. And with your inhale, the arms extend, and with your exhale, the palms float together to rest at the heart center. And we lift our hearts, and we bow our heads. We recommit to the intention that our practice be continuous, to bring yoga into each and every breath and step, that our hearts be steady and that our practice be of benefit to all beings. May all beings be safe. May all beings be healthy. May they be happy. May they find their freedom. May they know peace. May they walk through the world with ease. Thank you for sharing your practice with me. Namaste.